Okay guys, so I have Maka from NintendoBox and Andy from Macintyre Productions here. What are some games that you want Nintendo to release on mobile with their partnership through DeNA?
Well, to go on first here, I would definitely, this is probably a no-brainer, and I do imagine this happening eventually, that a Mario game will come towards a mobile platform. It could be anything, really. I don't really imagine anything in the scope of, let's say, Super Mario 3D Land or things of that sort to come along. I do imagine a Mario game to come along from some form, since that's obviously a Nintendo flagship series going on here. In terms of other series going on there, I do imagine other Pokemon-esque like games, for example, Kaiko Watch, or I forgot what that one particular game is called. It's also very, very popular in Japan. It's up there in popularity levels
Yokai.
with Pokemon. Yokai Watch, that's the one. So I can imagine that being on there as well. And we could probably see other, like, let's say 3DS eShop titles go on there. And we could actually see some older NES games going on mobile as well. For example, let's say the original Super Mario Brothers, the original Zelda, original Metroid, so on and so forth. And I do imagine those particular titles making an appearance in some form in mobile platforms.
Yeah, as far as mobile goes, I haven't actually really thought of many ideas of what these games could be. I've kind of, I haven't speculated much on that. I've kind of left that up to the guys at Nintendo, so I don't really know what they'd be doing. But as far as Mario goes, something that makes a lot of sense to me, while it's not that imaginative, is a game like Sonic Jump or Doodle Jump. That kind of game, because Mario is all about jumping. He was originally Jumpman, so it all kind of makes sense. But I know that there's going to be a lot of Pokemon stuff on there, because the Pokemon company are actually a bit more outgoing with stuff like this. They were releasing apps about a year ago up until now. They've said that they're already going to be bringing out Pokemon Shuffle over to the App Store and the Google Play Store in the least surprising news of this year. So I think that we'll see a lot of Pokemon stuff. We'll definitely see a Mario game and probably a Zelda game of some kind. That's another big franchise. And I think we might see something Animal Crossing, because Animal Crossing is a game that captures in a lot of the casual market, or people who just like a bit of an easier experience, something a bit more lax and a bit more relaxing. So I think that's definitely in sync with the kind of people that you get playing on mobile systems more often than not now. So I think that's something that we could potentially see.
Yeah, in my opinion, if you guys remember the Yoshi game that originally released on the NES, it was released on the Wii U eShop during their 30 years celebration, where you could buy games for like 30 cents. I think we could see another game in that style. It's sort of similar to the recent Mario crossover puzzle game that released for the 3DS. I think games like that with the pretty much match 3 element, similar to games like Bubble Witch or Tetris or something where you match the colors. I think we'll see a bunch of games like that using Nintendo IPs. Or Tetris Attack, I think was the name of it, that came out on the Super Nintendo. It was a Tetris game that had Mario, similar to Dr. Mario games. I think we could see something like that, or a Mario style endless runner game to where you're constantly running, but there's different levels and different platforms that you'll have to jump on, just like a simple tap the screen to jump. And I think we'll see certain things like that.
Yeah, I think definitely a lot of what we'll be seeing is the standard mobile stuff. I think maybe 1 or 2 games that they end up releasing will be a bit more imaginative, because Nintendo like to do that, and it will be fun to see that in the market. But I think that they'll play it safe with quite a lot of them, and they'll go with what sells, because I think that something which is more recognizable, like Mario, will sell more if it's the same game than something which is, whatever King are making now, Bubble Witch Saga or Puppy Saga or something like that.
And my particular concern with Nintendo going mobile is that are they going to innovate something new in terms of mobile platform? What new things they're going to bring to the table and that sort of thing. Nintendo has always been that kind of company that tries to do something differently to make them seem more distinct from all the other crowds. So I'm wondering what they're going to do with the mobile platform in accordance to, let's say, the NX. Will there be some sort of connectivity with the NX or something else? Like, let's say, Club Nintendo went down under, I believe, last week or a couple of days before. I could easily see some sort of social media platform, some sort of website that could offer some sort of connectivity with, let's say, mobile games dealing with Nintendo in the future. Just something to kind of make Nintendo more distinct from the other mobile crowds out there.
Yeah, concerning that, a lot of games that appear on mobile devices, you can also play certain ones on websites like Facebook and their games. Do you think Nintendo is going to put a couple of their more popular games made for mobile on social websites like Facebook? That way they can get people drawn into it to know that the games are there, and then maybe an advertisement for something saying if you like this game, then you can check out Nintendo's app on the iStore or iTunes Store or something similar to that.
I personally don't see that happening, simply because Nintendo don't really like social networking, particularly that isn't their Miiverse, because they've pushed hard on Miiverse and kind of segregated themselves in that way. And they've never really integrated Facebook that well, or Twitter. Sure, they've integrated YouTube somewhat, but I just can't see that happening. I can definitely see it being on the App Store, the Google Play Store, Amazon probably, and potentially maybe Windows. And I can't see it being on Facebook. I think that's something that's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's something that's passing now. That was huge a few years ago with things like Farmville. But as much as I get a lot of requests on Facebook to play random games, I don't think that it's as big of a deal for people now, and I can't really see Nintendo doing it. Now, as far as the NX goes, I think they definitely have to do something that is pretty heavily integrated with mobile, and the other things that they do. I think they need that all-encompassing system which stops what we have at the moment, where even your Wii U and your 3DS have to be on slightly different accounts, and nothing really works really properly and in synchronous. So I can't really see them not doing a lot with mobile. I think it's a big step for them going forward, and the NX has to integrate it quite heavily. As well, I think I remember that they were making an app to do with Mii's. It was like a Mii Creator app or something, and it was meant to actually be more than that, but that was what they were telling us about, and they seem to have gone quite quiet on that, so I don't know if that's anything that you guys have anything to interject on.
Personally, I haven't heard about that with the app. So, have you, Andy?
I believe I heard bits and pieces of it, but going on a general spectrum here with Nintendo, I do imagine them doing something with the successor of Club Nintendo. I do believe that they're going to try to expand their internet presence and incorporate that with the NX or multi-platforms that dished out. Let's say with the successor to the 3DS, whatever that may or may not be, and let's say with mobile platforms, have some sort of connectivity between all three platforms, the mobile, handheld, and of course main console. Since there has been rumors going along that the NX will be a fusion of, let's say, the handheld and console platforms, if that's the case, I could definitely see Nintendo incorporating mobile schemes to go into that as well. And for example, amiibos. I remember a friend of mine were having a conversation about this, and then he was bringing up a case whether or not amiibos can have functionality with mobile games or apps, and in which you can scan them with your, let's say, your iPhone or Samsung phone or whatever, which would be a neat idea if you would think about it. And I'm wondering if Nintendo is kind of thinking something similar to that end as well. So in that form, if Nintendo is going to dish out this other brand, which is mobile, I would definitely want them to not go half easy on it, but go full throttle and really incorporate a bunch of things with it.
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty obvious we'll see games like NintendoBox or NintenCats appear on mobile. because those were games that pretty much only used touch controls, similar to Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass, where you were forced to only use touch controls. What type of Zelda game with that in mind do you see them putting on mobile? Do you think they could make a full-fledged Zelda title and just have it touch control like Phantom Hourglass or Spirit Tracks, or do you think they're just going to stick to the more casual games?
Well, that's another tricky question. That's whether or not Nintendo believes it's worth the development time to make something truly substantial on mobile platforms, as opposed towards putting time and research on, let's say, their handheld and main console development. Which, again, we don't really know what the NX is. We don't know what the main mobile platform is. We don't really know what Nintendo's mind, whether or not they're going to try to merge the handheld and console markets together, which some people are trying to stress here. So I'm not really sure what they should do at this point. But I would definitely have something like this in mind. Like, for example, there's some mobile games you can play on your mobile platform, and these same mobile games can also be played on the 3DS handheld. There's going to be some sort of interconnectivity between the two. And these mobile games, they could be, I would say, kind of like that new Pokemon Shuffle game or something along those lines. That it's not really in depth as per se an actual Pokemon game, but does offer a nice little side gig, which could easily be transported or ported on towards the handheld, or maybe even on the actual NX. So I would definitely like to see some sort of interconnectivity between all these particular games and platforms.
I would see... Oh no, sorry. I think we'll see the more games being spin-off games rather than mainline games. So I think you'll see a game that may be Zelda, but I think that it won't be a game which is traditionally Zelda. I think you'll see a game which maybe is on the IP, but it's something completely different, something tailored to mobile, and something that will offer a good experience on mobile, whereas we've seen with a lot of the stuff maybe Square Enix does, such as the ports of Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy, that they're games that very clearly do not work on mobile. They were not made for mobile, and they have a weird D-pad and weird touchscreen controls that don't make much sense for the game that they are. And I think Zelda would be in the same situation, and I don't think it's a very Nintendo move to push it and force it through like that. And they've already said that they're not going to be porting over old games, so I think that it's the same thing with porting over old games and creating new games that wouldn't really work on mobile. It's the same reasoning there to just not do it and make mobile games for the experience that you'd want on mobile.